Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. Normally, I have a policy not to tell stories in these videos that strike me as too famous, as stories that everybody already knows or that there's already a huge amount of material about. And so I'm kind of skirting the edge of that today. But it's a story I love, and the reason I worry about it being too famous is that recently, of course, everyone has been watching the new streaming availability of the Broadway mega hit Hamilton. And Alexander Hamilton was, of course, an extremely important, extremely influential New Yorker who really paved the way for New York City becoming the city it is today. So I want to talk about that because I love it, and if it's retread material, then I beg your pardon. But it happened in New York. The year is 1790, and the place is Thomas Jefferson's house on Maiden Lane. Now, Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson are, of course, quite famously at one another's throats. Hamilton loves and believes in the city. Not only is he a longtime New York resident, but he has found that big city life suits him and suits the spirit that he believes the new nation should have. A place of manufacturing, a place of commerce, a place where there are many, many people to freely exchange ideas. Thomas Jefferson is a planter, a farmer, and of course, a slave owner. And he believes in the yeoman farmer and the agrarian dream of a type that works if you have the kind of money that he was born into. But these two have been going at it right and left forever about what should the nation's capital be. Now, New York City has served as the capital during the first year of George Washington's presidency, but Hamilton knows that Jefferson would much rather work closer to home and have the capital moved south. So we see a lot of the conflicts that we still see today, the city versus the country, the coast versus the inland, and the north versus the south. This all, of course, was the sort of thing that the Civil War covered. This has been things that various civil unrests since then have covered. It's been going on since before Hamilton and Jefferson's day. Now, famously, and especially if you've seen the show, James Madison, who will of course go on to write the bulk of the U.S. Constitution, arranges a meeting between Jefferson and Hamilton over a dinner at Jefferson's house. The big issue at hand is Revolutionary War debt. War is expensive, and each of the 13 states has accumulated a certain amount of debt fighting the war. But New York's debt is greater than all 12 of the others combined. Hamilton, a Federalist, a big believer in a strong federal government, believes that the new federal government should take on the debt. Say, you accrued this debt in the service of your country, we'll pay it, you don't worry about it. Jefferson says, no, why on earth should anyone pay your debts other than you yourself? And they go back and forth. Now, as the famous song says, no one else was in the room where it happened. But what we know is that by the end of this meeting, Jefferson has agreed to Hamilton's request for the debt in exchange for Hamilton agreeing to lose New York's status as the nation's capital, and the capital moves south to what will eventually become Washington, D.C. So, what has Hamilton done for the city of New York by making this arrangement? He made New York solvent. He made Wall Street possible. He made it possible for people to trust that they could invest in New York, that they could get rich in New York, that they could make their clients rich in New York, and he gave the city the foothold he needed by giving it a clean bill of health financially. In exchange, he said goodbye to the politics. He said essentially, as long as we have the banks, what the government does is more important than where it does it. And that is what made Hamilton's decision to give up the status of the U.S. capital such a crucial thing for the future of New York City. It is very appropriate that Hamilton's grave in Trinity Churchyard faces the bank he founded, the Bank of New York. Once it is safe to do so, you can definitely see Wall Street, Hamilton's grave, and even though the house is long gone, the modern building that stands on its site features a plaque showing where Jefferson's house stood and where this fateful meeting took place. Please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook or email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.